In this video, I want to give you an example of scaling into a position. Now, most of you might know about scaling into a position from the standard or conventional viewpoint, and that is that we only scale into a position when our trade is profitable or going in our favor. How many times have you ever heard somebody suggest to scale into a position when the trade is going against you? I don't know about you, but I've read dozens of different trade plans and sets of rules by different traders, and almost every single set of rules or trade plan that I've ever read, one of the rules on that list is to never add to your position when it's going against you. Only add to your position or scale in when the trade is going in your favor. That's been my mindset for a long time, and I'm guessing that most of you have heard that as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a model of scaling into a position when the trade is actually going against you, and in doing so actually lessening the amount of risk that you take for that trade. Now let's take a look at a chart here, and this is the pound dollar on the 1 hour. I'm not going to really give any examples of trades here, just about scaling in. So let's assume that we've done some prior analysis and we've determined that this level here, if price were to come back up into it, that we would consider going short at around this level. So let's assume that our entry point was right here, and under conventional scale in training that we may have received or read about before, we would scale in, say, one more time here and then maybe one more time here. So with this example, I'm going to show you how we could scale into the same position, same basic area of entry, but in a different method, actually the complete opposite method. Let's go back to our chart here, and just for the sake of this example, let's determine that we've decided that we want to trade one full mini lot. In this example, we're going to use mini lots, and that our target is 50 pips. However, we're not going to just enter a single trade and let it either win or lose. We're going to scale into the position in 5 legs. Here are our legs down here. So we've already determined to risk one lot, mini lot. Broken into 5 legs, we get a rounded number of 0.97. Now our first entry is actually going to be the lowest, and then every subsequent entry after that is going to be bigger than the last, and we're going to spread out our entries by 10 pips. So that means that our first entry, let's just say, is right at this white line here. Well, as price moves against us 10 pips, we'll scale in again. So we'd be going short here, short again, short again, short again, like that. And every 10 pips of movement, we'll scale in another leg to equal a total of one lot as price goes against us. Now, for the first entry, we're obviously going to have the biggest stop loss, and that's kind of why we want to use the smallest lot size, because we want to risk the least amount on our largest stop loss position. So for the first position, we'd have 50 pips. This is just an example. Second would go down to 40, and finally our fifth would be only a 10 pip stop loss. So our biggest position is risking only 10 pips. Now if you compare this model of scaling in a negative ratio to a normal entry with no scale-ins of just a single entry with a single stop loss, it's true that there would be a little bit more profit. Let's take a look here. Profit using no scale-ins and a 50 pip target with mini lots. So we have a one mini lot, and we're shooting to hit 50 pips. If we hit that 50 pips with our full position in, we would make 48.44, or $50. Because of the rounded here, we're a little bit less. Whereas if we scale in using this model here, we would only be making $40.31. It's not a very big difference, but there is a little difference there. The upside to this model of scaling in is that our risk is actually going to be quite a bit less. Let's add up the risk using a scale-in method like this, where 50 pips is our risk only on the first leg of our entry, and 10 pips is our risk for our final and fifth leg of entry. Instead of risking $48.44, or say $50, we would instead only be risking $17.81. And that's because we scaled in as price went against us, and every new scale-in position had a smaller stop loss. So hopefully that makes sense to you. While we're giving up a little bit of the option of better profits, not a big option, we're definitely having a better risk to reward ratio in our stop loss amount, and we're allowing ourselves to not take a single entry and hope that we were right with the right stop loss, but we can actually scale into it. So this same basic area where we wanted to enter is where we're going to enter, but instead of putting our full position there or scaling in as price goes in our favor, we would scale in as price comes up. Now, in order to be in profit, assuming that our fifth leg was entered somewhere up here, only 2 of these legs or 3 of these legs need to actually be in profit. Only these bottom 2 legs right here would need to be in profit for our whole position. Now, if you treat all 5 legs as one single position, then only 2 of these legs would need to be in profit by about 10 pips or so for the whole position to now be in profit, even if our initial legs are still not in profit. As soon as leg 1 hits 10 pips, that would mean leg 5, our final entry, hits 50 pips. So you basically compound your lots there per pips by scaling in this negative fashion. So hopefully this little example shows you the possibilities of scaling in as price is actually going against you. In closing, I did want to say one thing. From a market maker's perspective, let's just assume that you're a market maker or you're a broker and your business is to make money by people trading your market. You obviously want more people to trade, and the more people trade, the more money you make. And if you're a market maker driving price, then you want people to lose so that you can make money. From that perspective, consider how much information and education is already available for scaling into a position only when it's profitable. Why do you think this isn't the information that's mainly put out there, as opposed to teaching a model for scaling in as price goes against you? Well, it's possible that the market makers or your brokers would rather not see you scale in as price goes against you, because your odds for staying in a position with a larger stop loss per leg are much better of hitting a win. There are obviously different variations to this model, like let's just say price didn't reach far enough high here to enter our 5th leg, so then what would we do? Well, there are different methods for scaling in those final legs if you don't get far enough ahead of your initial entry, and that can maybe be reserved for another video. But just think for a minute about what the brokers and what the market makers do and do not want you to know, or do and do not want you to use in your trading. Obviously, MT4 is freely available and trailing stops are freely available. These are tools that the broker gives us to use for free. So I think it's healthy to be a little more skeptical when deciphering what kind of a model you want to use, and to look at things a little bit outside of the box more, even if it goes against the natural grain of what you've been taught all along. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them.